Trust me. All right, but I want Johnny's watch. No problem. Give me a watch. Hey, give me my watch. Put the liquor store thing back in and I'll listen to the song.
Oh my god, this is fucking annoying.
Deal.
Okay, so I'm trying technical difficulties as always. Alright, so oftentimes I get people asking me to, do a tutorial or kind of do something live where I'm working something from scratch. So, unfortunately, once again, the screen is in a position where I can't really hear, or excuse me, I can't really read anything you guys are typing, as I'm going to be sitting right here. My head is going to be right here as I'm working on this piece. I'm going to work on this back wall today for a dial that I'm creating this dial from scratch. My goal is to finish this dial by tomorrow and put it for sale on Instagram. That's the goal. So we're going to start from scratch, and I'm just going to kind of give you guys an idea of, let me put the volume down um, on Entourage that I'm watching. So, but anyway, so I'm gonna start from scratch. So I'm gonna give you guys. Sometimes you guys ask me, "Oh, what do you start? How do you do?" Blah blah blah. So I'm gonna give you guys kind of the insight and what's happening in my head as I go through this process. So what I've decided to create is a dock type of dial. So one of the first things that I'm gonna work on is this back wall. I had at one point created, like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, just create a bunch of doors. This is the last one left from that set. I want to be able to play. This is just like a roll down door that's been damaged and it's kind of broken there, sliced open a little bit. I need to work on this door because these, I need to blend this paper onto the foam somehow because it won't look good when I paint and you see a clear separation there. So we can work on that in a minute. Had it laid here just because I wanted to get an idea of where I'm going to place the window. I'm going to put a window up here. There's going to be like a dock that leads into another larger roll down grate on this side. So anyway, just to give you guys an idea of how I usually go about measuring these and kind of starting that process. And again, I apologize if anyone is watching that has questions. I also realize that I'm going live at a really weird time. It is a holiday, so a lot of people aren't working, but some people are working. So I don't expect there to be a lot of people kind of watching this, but let's kind of go through the process of how I approach these guys. And all right, so first thing I want to do is I want to get a window that's pretty high because the dock is probably going to be at this height. I want the window to be pretty far up on here. This is the factory cut and this is the factory cut side. So I feel comfortable in saying these are pretty straight. So anything I measure, I'm going to measure from these 2 points. So in this particular case, first thing I got to do is throw on my glasses. So I just started using glasses to read and for these type of things, man. I'm a little frustrated. I've never needed glasses before, so this kind of sucks, but all good. All right, so I think we're going to go... I think I want to make the window maybe 4 inches. I think 4 inches wide would be good. So, and I wanted an inch from the top and then 4 inches, an inch from the top, so I have 5 inches. So right around here is where I'm going to kind of mark where my window's going to go. So we're going to do, it looks like 6.5. So from the bottom, again, this is, it flipped on me. It's been recording something that it shouldn't have been recording. My fault, guys. Are we back? It's because I bumped into this tripod. I need to tighten this. Alright, my fault, guys. Alright, this mad technical difficulties up in this biatch. Alright. Yeah, I have a tripod and I have the little clip that you can put into... You can put the phone into it. Yeah, I'm actually reading the messages. Yes, Glenn, there we go. Like, what the hell was I recording, right? Let me see. If it falls again, let me get on top of this and see what I can do to kind of make it. All right. So what I did is I just took it off of the tripod just so I can kind of tighten this up a little more. There we go. This is not going to go anywhere now. For sure. All right. All right, we are solid. It's not moving. I'm hitting it. This little piece is not gonna swing anywhere. All right, so we're gonna do 5 inches, 5.5 inches from the, or 6.5 inches from the bottom. So again, this being a straight cut, I'll mark it up here, and then I'll mark it up here as well. So again, every you know, everything is going to be based on this corner, because this corner is, again, the straight part of the dial. These two other sides were cut. So although I feel comfortable in how straight I cut, I would still excuse me, feel better if I do it this way. So I think the other board's gonna be here. So that's an inch. So this guy's gonna land here. So I gotta start working from an inch in. So that would be 2 inches. So what we're gonna do is get a longer ruler. And so 14, we got it at the 14 mark. And we're gonna do the window at 2. Again, we're gonna do 14 and 2 inches. So what that allows me to do is to kind of start building the window an inch from the wall. And then we're gonna make the window, let me see, the door is, maybe we can make the window 7 inches, man. We'll do 6 inches. Yeah, we can do 6 inches. We'll do 6 inches across for the window. So I'm gonna go back to the point, the little points of this creator. We're gonna go 6 inches, and I'm gonna do 6 inches from there as well. 6. For some reason that one is way off. So let's go back and see what I did wrong. Yep, I did 6.25 inches. I meant to do 6 inches. So we'll make this line a little bit longer, so I know that's the line I used. Okay, so we're going to 6 inches across. What that tells me is that I will start these 2 bottom lines that I created already. And I usually stand up for these because I want to make sure everything's straight, kind of give it that visual. What we're going to do is from 2 inches, 14 inches rather, from the corner, line that up, and 2 plus 8 would be 6. So we're gonna go right up to the 8 mark, excuse me. So we start right here at the 2, and we're gonna go right up to 8 inches. Alright. Now, we're able to, let me see. Alright, cool. Now from here, I have these 2 marked up already, and with this we're gonna go, we had said 4 inches, correct? So 1. I don't count that 1 because I want that, and so it's going to be from 1 inch to 5 inches would be 4. So we're doing that. Then we're coming back over here, and again, same measurements from the top here. And we're going to go from the 1 inch mark down to the 5 inch mark. And then it's easy enough at the very end to connect the dots if you were, kind of on point with everything else. So it should be pretty good. So we have a little industrial type window. That's all set. My door is gonna go there, and there's gonna be a dock pretty much on like on kind of here. So the window's high enough that if you're standing on the dock, you can kind of see through the window. I can still get some sunlight through the window. I should have some vellum paper left, hopefully, that I will use for that. But I think I'm using a couple different materials for the window, including that sewing mesh. So I think I'm gonna do vellum paper and sewing mesh, and frame it up. So there's a couple different options. What I've been doing lately, that I've just been creating the frame, just instead of kind of adding a outside frame, I've just kind of been carving in the frame, which looks good, and I'm comfortable with. So I'm gonna do here as well. So I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch. Maybe I'll do let me see how the centimeter. Yeah, we'll do 1/2 centimeter instead. Let me shine some light over here. So we'll do 1/2 centimeter all the way around.
truth.
Yeah, I love these metal rulers, but the one thing about the metal rulers that happen often is that they kind of start to get scratched off, and then, or get scratches on them, and then what happens is that the glare of the light sometimes kind of throws it off a little bit, so I gotta move it around. So what I'm doing is 1/2 centimeter all the way across, or all the way around this window, and it still gives me enough space to create whatever material I'm going to use for this building up top, and still allow me to do the framework.
Couldn't be better, Terrence, although it's 6:30, usually out of here by noon, so it's a little odd, no?
Bam.
Why was Barbara Miller?
So in this particular case, what I usually do is I don't use the marker to kind of go around it. Here I did it just because I'm cutting this piece out. This is going to be cut out. In this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use an X-Acto blade and kind of create that line that's going to become the frame. And I'm eyeing this side here. After you've created dioramas for some time, you get a better idea. You can eye stuff a little bit. But like if you can see here, I was barely off, so that's not bad. And that's just something that, for example, I was barely off, but all I have to do is kind of go in here and boom. This over here. And remember, guys, people have asked, mentioned this before. This material really dulls these pretty quick, so you can't stay with the same X-Acto blade for weeks, months on end. Once it starts to resist, once you start cutting and it's resisting, it's giving you a little bit of you have to put a little effort into it. It's time to change the blade. In this case, this blade I actually changed it a couple of days ago, so it's still cutting pretty sharp. Alright, so here we have the frame of the window, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen any tutorials from the past, but once you do that, all you're really doing at that point is you're running a pencil through the cut you just created, and that is giving you the frame of the window. So we've cut that frame out, so cool, we're doing that. One of the things that I like to do before I'm going to add brick or cement or whatever I'm going to do is get an idea of where the windows, doors, whatever other things I'm going to put on the wall that are going to take big space, where those, identify those, at the very least, marker them and pencil them, what have you, so that when you start creating bricks, if bricks aren't needed here, to kind of go through the process of making bricks here would be silly because you're cutting this out anyway. So I'm just going to mark this door so I have an idea of where it's going to sit. And actually what I'm going to do is, instead of marking it, I've gotten into a bad habit of like kind of doing this and just kind of marking it there. But these things aren't always the straightest things in the world. So I'm going to use the same technique where I'm working from this corner with 2 factory cut corners. So we're going to get exact measurements. And let's put this door in, let's do 1.5 inches into the dial. So we have an 1.5 inches there, we do 1.5 inches down here. Kind of figure out how tall I went with the door. I went 7.25, which is perfect, which is what I've been doing with doors lately. 7.25 inch in height, which is about 7.5 or 7.25 feet. To a real door. And so again, I'm using the marker because I'm cutting that part out, and then I made this door 3.25. So we're gonna go 3.25 from that marked side, and 3.25 from there as well. So thank you for those who hung out and experienced the technical difficulties that I was having. Or I think I was just recording my crotch area. I could be wrong, but alright, cool. So we have where the door is gonna be. So now I have an idea of what I can work around. I am not gonna create Yeah, you know what I am. I wasn't gonna create a door frame, but I think I'm going to. And the reason I'm going to is because I'll let you know right now why I'm doing it. Because if these rollout doors are deep into a wall, that means that they roll inside the building. If they're more out, that means that they roll into a unit I would have to build here. I'd rather build that unit. What I'm trying to do with this dial is make it look as sexy as possible. So that includes just visually when you have different textures, when you have different uh, depths of perception in terms of what's sticking out, it always gives it a better look. So if I put that piece where this would roll into and you get kind of an angle shot, now you have some more life, some more 3D, I guess is the best way to put it. Um, all right, have done the window. I've got an idea of the door. Now I need to make a decision on what I'm going to do with bricks. And I think let's do bricks in the bottom. I've been doing bricks up top. And usually bricks usually go up higher and cement goes lower. But I don't know if you guys are aware, a lot of times bricks on buildings, especially these days, aren't necessarily the strength of the building. It's more the look. So I think I'm just gonna go brick in the bottom, and we'll do maybe 4 inches of bricks. Let me see. Let's do 5. Action figures are like 6 inches tall. We do 5. You can kind of get that head above. Now again, using the factory cut bottom, I'm gonna measure from that. So we're gonna do 5 inches. Boom, boom. Then we're gonna do 5 inches here as well. Now, I have to still create this frame. I'm wondering, like, if the door's sticking out, do I really need a frame? Because this is kind of the frame. Now, you know what? I'm not gonna frame it up. I'm not gonna frame it up. We're just gonna go brick across. So, first thing I usually do is just to kind of give myself kind of a good little what you call it, starting point, visual, just feeling like something's happening here. I'm gonna just do this top line, and so this is the line that's gonna separate uh, the the brick from the cement finish. Now it is time to cut my bricks. People have asked me often, what size do I create my bricks? I have been experimenting over the years back and forth in terms of what size I create my bricks. What I've narrowed it down to, I think, is I'm doing from the top, we're going to do centimeters. So it looks like it's going to be 12 and a half. So we're just going to mark it from the top. Boom, boom. Oh, let me just push this up just in case it's not in camera. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so we got that side marked. Now we come over here, we're going to do the exact same thing. We start from the top. One of the rows of bricks is going to be a little bit skinnier in the bottom, but that's okay. I may put a border there of some sort. But here we have, again, centimeter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so now that we have these marked here, now what we can do is we can create the lines that are going to be the bricks. All you're doing is connecting from dot to dot, and all you're going to do is you don't have to stab it in too much. You just lightly kind of stick it in. And then we do this side. A lot of times, the potential to be creative with brickwork is something I love. I generally these days don't get as creative with bricks, and there's a reason for that. So anytime someone asks me for a commission, obviously one of the first questions is, how much? How much do they go for? Commissions, when I got into it, it was a very, uh, a medium that hadn't been explored too much, and there weren't a lot of dial makers around. So I really didn't know what to charge. And I think part of the reason I went with the structure and charging that I went with was because uh, I knew that if I did it based on like hours, like let's say I was like, all right, cool, it's gonna cost whatever per hour. I knew that no one would ever would be able to afford these. I also had to take into account that the idea with action figure photography, for the most part, is people are collectors. So if you're a collector, uh, you collect other shit that you need, other figures and so forth. So I wanted to make sure that I had it so that even if you had a smaller budget, you can still get something from me. But what happens is that obviously, if you're gonna, if you have a smaller budget, then I can't go all out for your dial, as I have other orders. As part of the pricing is the details. So a lot of times, when people are, I have three tiers. So one of them's like, just tier one, tier two, tier three. Tier three is kind of the all out tier. It's kind of the, I have, I'm comfortable spending a couple $100 or what have you, and then I'm allowed to kind of be more flexible, to do more of these, to spend more time on the dial really, and kind of do some more. So that's when I usually will like flex out the bricks and just do a little more. Um, Again, ultimately at the end of the day, I always understand that the idea for action figure photography is that, yeah, like, you know, you want a diorama, you want something to, you know, pose your action figures in, but it falls into the background. This is just a setting for the figures, which is kind of the highlight. So now we've created the bricks in the bottom here. So what I usually do for the size of the brick in terms of the long way, I think I've been doing an entire centimeter. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So what I usually do is I just kind of put the ruler there, and then I do every 2 centimeters. And again, everybody does things differently. I feel comfortable making these lines without a ruler at this point. Do the lines always come out perfectly straight? Nope. For the most part, they do. When they don't, it's not a big deal. Brick, any surface, is not going to be perfect for the most part. So even when it comes out a little off, I either put some signage there, or it blends in when everything's painted, and what have you. So this is the part that becomes really kind of um, boring, I guess. It's one of those things where, so at this point, I have my guide. I don't know if, let me see if you can see this on camera. Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. So now what I have is I have my guides for how I'm gonna go about going cutting the rest of the bricks. So the pattern of bricks, I see a lot of people, a lot of rookies, kind of not sure how that works. So the pattern of brick is that where this is gonna be an inch in, so I don't have to worry about this corner. So I'm gonna start here. So pretty much the way I do it, again, everybody has their own style. I just do the middle here in between those, and I skip a line, skip a row, skip a row. And once again, it's because I've been doing this for a lot of years that I feel more comfortable doing it like this. Now, this line here is just going to match up to here on the row that was skipped. And basically, that is how the pattern goes. It's not a difficult pattern, but I can see how, if you're not familiar with the pattern, how it may seem a little difficult. So now this brick is, I mean, this line, what you're doing is you just copy, like this line, you're going to skip, and you're going to kind of line it up, skip a row, line it up, skip a row, line it up. So that's pretty much kind of the gist of it. But again, this is a live video, so I'm going to do it live. bear with me as this is not the most fun part of making dials, but it definitely is uh, a part that is necessary, especially when you're creating bricks. I just saw that, so I'm part of. I mentioned this before, guys. I'm part of a group on Facebook called Dial Structure, and I'm an admin in that group. Great group, man. I remember joining that group. There were like a couple hundred people. It's grown to 5,000 strong. We just went through our first ever competition. It was a great competition. 11 people submitted dioramas to be judged by 5 or 6 of the mods and admins, and it was a great competition. Anyway, there's a bunch of really talented people in that group, and one of the more talented guys, man, I forget his name, and I probably wouldn't even know how to pronounce it, but he created this thing where it's kind of it's for bricks. So what he does is he places it on the foam, and he kind of bangs it out, and he takes it out. It leaves the imprint of bricks. So there's, everyone has. I always hear people say when it's time to cut bricks, everybody's like, "Oh no, I gotta do bricks." I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much. Like, I don't sit here and dread it or anything. It is kind of time consuming, but that's part of what I'm getting paid for. That's part of that process is the time that I'm putting into this artwork that I'm this one of a kind piece, this artwork that I'm creating for any particular person. So it doesn't bother me too much. Uh, I also I tend to, like, for example, normally what I would have done is I would have put the bricks up here because there's this whole section I don't have to cut out or I don't have to carve out. So it would have just been a little bit here and not even this section because I'm putting something there. So a little here. But I've been doing a lot of brick up top, and I think structurally that's where bricks usually go. But I just want to do something a little different. I want to do bricks in the bottom, and I'm going to do some graffiti. I want to see how the graffiti looks on the bricks as opposed to on a excuse me, a flatter gray cement type of surface. All right, so once again, if you've joined, the phone is in an angle where I can't really read anything that you guys are writing. If you are writing, so my apologies for that. But I think I need to come up with something where I can interact with you guys a little bit better, and that's the goal. This is kind of the second or third live video I've ever created, so it's all kind of a work in progress for me. I actually would really love to do this over on Twitch, but for whatever reason, I'm just not. It's not connecting for me. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So I have an account and everything, and it starts to record, and it just stops recording within seconds. Somebody told me to download Streamlabs, and I did Streamlabs, and that's also doing something a little funky. Man, I wish I was in Florida because my boy Chris, Block by Block TV, I know would have helped me. I'm pretty sure if I call him, he can help. He can kind of give me some technical assistance. I just haven't had the chance to, and also it'd be tough because I'd need the phone, so I'd have to probably get like my roommate's phone or something, give him a call so that my phone is free and we can try to figure it out that way. So all right, I'm coming kind of towards the end. Once again, this is a lot of people would rather kind of put a ruler here and just kind of do the go down and skip a row. It's I don't care. I don't need that anymore. Like, to that point, my lines are pretty straight. As a graffiti artist, my biggest one of the things I was happiest about when it came to for me, to create graffiti was my can control, which is basically your brain telling your hand to spray like this, and your hand actually spraying exactly the way your brain told it to, versus kind of doing something going a little crooked. So in graffiti, can control is a huge deal because you can tell, like, if your work has a lot of drips, that means that you stayed in a spot too long. Then when you moved, it dripped. But if you're doing it fast enough and you're staying within the line, that's can control. It takes many years to kind of get that skill. So this is, to me, is like exacto control, I guess. It's gotten to the point where I feel pretty good about creating these lines freestyle and not worrying that it's not going to look good or match up or going to be super crooked. And again, I'm not perfect. Obviously, I make mistakes, and whenever I make mistakes, I'll find a way to cover them up. You know, that's kind of just the approach I've taken. But yeah, basically, it's not as difficult for me to just kind of freestyle it, as you guys can see. So we're almost done here. Then what I'm gonna do once we're done here is I'm gonna kind of take a pencil and do the whole splitting up these lines. But there's a technique that I have that I want to show you guys as well. And uh, it's not the easiest thing I imagine to kind of sit there and watch a live video, but I appreciate it if you guys are watching. A lot of times people ask me, yo, you should do like a video of you actually, working on a dial. And for the most part, I'm like, nah. But, it's Monday. It's a holiday. I'm not working today. I can't drive my car because my brakes are really bad. So this is actually like a little fundraiser because once I hopefully sell this, once it's created, that money's gonna go towards some brake pads and some rotors that I need for my car. So I am grounded for today and for tomorrow. It is a holiday today. I'm off, but because I'm normally off on Mondays, I am also off. I'm off tomorrow, so tomorrow would be my holiday. All right, so what I generally do with these is I don't go this way first. What I do is I kind of go this way first. And the reason I do that is because as you're going down, what you're doing is you're getting into this brick a little bit. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you see a brick wall and like like it's cut, it extends there, and like it's just not a good look. So the reason I do it like this, and I'll show you guys, I'll do a couple of rows and then show you guys why I approach it this way. So if I do go a little bit past the line, which I don't want to, but I'll give you an example in a second so you have an idea. So all you're doing is you're just opening up the gap that you just created with the X-Acto blades. It's pretty much what you're doing. Uh, you know, does this look easy? Yes, it looks easy. It looks easy. But is it the easiest thing in the world? Nah, man. Like anything, if you're not familiar with it, it's not going to be as easy a thing. I had a guy a couple years ago, and before I say that story, let me just kind of show you guys. So if you can see here, like when I went down, I went a little bit into the brick. But what's going to happen is once I open that up, it's gone. Like the way the foam is and the dent it left there, because I was able to kind of do one of those, it almost eliminated that dent from the brick. So let me see. So as you can see now, the brick looks, most of the bricks, I mean, again, going off of what I was saying earlier in terms of cutting these lines and feeling comfortable. Same thing here. For the most part, I'm not going to go past that line there. But if I did, like I just did right there, let's say for a little bit, once I kind of come back and do that, it literally almost eliminates it. So it's a great little technique to do the smaller ones going up and down, the vertical joints, and then you go and you clear them across that way, and it kind of almost repairs the brick. So it's something I learned after having created a couple of brick walls where I'm impatient. So the first thing I want to do is just start, rah rah, and you can. But then when I went back, I'd be like, oh, look at all these little dents, and you can tell these bricks, and they should be blah, but whatever. And so I learned to do these guys first, and then go back with making the line that goes the long way across the back wall. So as you can see, the bricks just start forming up, which is great. All right, let me see how long I have been on here live. All right, 34 minutes. I think we'll do, let me fix this a little bit. I think we'll do another, maybe I'll do the hour. Maybe I'll do the hour. All right, so the story I was going to say. So I had this guy hit me up a while ago, and he he wanted to create a dial, right? And he knew exactly what he wanted to create, but he needed more technical assistance. He needed someone that he can speak to, or he can go on a FaceTime with and ask questions and show where their work was and what they could be doing better. He had a little bit of a background in art, and he felt like, I can rock this out, no problem. So he contacted me. He said, listen, this is what I want to create, and I wanted to know, if you can help me with this, like I feel I'm arty enough to do this, so I would need you to kind of guide me, and I'm willing to pay you. You know, how much would you charge me? And that was like a new thing to me. I'm like, all right, so you basically want me to be a consultant. So I need to come up with a price to consult. I wasn't even sure what. I had no idea, man. I don't even remember. Maybe I was like, yo, dude, just throw something my way and I'll let you know if that sounds fair. And I think that's what I said because a lot of times when it's something that new, I'm a little uncomfortable. Like, where do you research? You know, how do you charge people for consulting on making custom dioramas? Like, there's no precedence. You know, there's nothing uh, set for stuff like that. Where for other art forms, I'm pretty sure I could find something. So anyway, we agreed on a price, and I agreed, or I told him what I could do in terms of you know, the specifics of how I can help you. So I broke it down something like we can do 2 phone calls a week. We can go, you know, uh, on FaceTime, you know, twice, you know. So I kind of broke it down. I was like, you know, we can send up to whatever number of emails. He was about it. He was cool. Everything was all good. I think we spoke one time. Yeah, that was it. Dude disappeared. I never heard from him again. Never saw him again. And yeah, man. So my point is that a lot of times these things kind of look really easy, and then you try them, you're like, oh shit, it's not as easy as I thought. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut that window out. Another thing I get a lot of is people say, yo, man, how is it you get your lines so straight? So you guys saw how I got those lines straight. It's just a ruler. You're just following through on the ruler. You're measuring from the factory cut sides of the dial. You don't want to measure from the size that you cut yourself because it's human error. So if you can keep it to cutting from the factory side, then yo, you're good to go. This is one of the reasons I like to get the 2x2 boards instead of the 2x8 boards, because the 2x8 boards you're just going wow, you're just cutting along. With the 2x2 boards, almost anywhere you cut on it, you're still gonna get some factory cut, and by getting that factory cut, it allows you to cut straighter and have your lines looking straighter on the diorama. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut out this ventana. That's window in Spanish. I should try to want to do in Spanish, man. Just throw everybody off. Although my Spanish speaking isn't that great. All right, so let me move some of this stuff. Push it back a little bit, just so I'm on camera. All right. So what I'm gonna do first is a couple different techniques. First, I go with my X-Acto blade, and then again, the blade is pretty sharp. And what I do is I do like I don't dig too deep into it, and I can already feel this blade is starting to resist. But I know how far I can take these blades. And as long as what I'm cutting, again, just because of my experience, as long as what I'm cutting isn't something that's going to look bad after the cut, then I'm going to switch blades. But I think this blade will be good enough for this window and possibly this door. So we cut into this line, right? And let me see, how do I do it? Do I usually do, yeah, you know what? I think I do it. And then I take one of these guys. These are like my go-to guys for cutting out stuff. So is these guys. And the reason I like them is because you can extend them and you can kind of put the little stop here so it doesn't move up and down. So it gives you that. And then what I usually do is after I use this one to kind of just make that initial line, I come back in with this guy. And this is the guy that I get a little bit deeper. But already I'm getting a smooth slice because of that X-Acto blade. So I'm just coming in, giving it kind of that saw. And I mean, I do the saw sometimes if I'm feeling strong enough. I'll just go in deep and like, I'll just cut it. And at this point, what I want to do is I want to try to puncture the back of the dial. And you can hear it. Once I puncture the back, the cuts I've already made are going to guide me to creating this hopefully perfect as possible cut. All right, so this, as you can see, it's already cut here. So we're ready to go on that one. So let's pop this window out. You know what? Always do it. Always put the ruler on the side where you can see your guides. Because I don't want to cut into the frame, because if I cut into the frame, one of the things that the frame is going to do is it's going to have kind of this little cut here, this kind of this 45-degree angle that most frames do. So that's the only mark I really should see on the frame. So I have to be careful about not going past the margins, past the line. So this allows me to see this line and see that line by turning the wall around. And so again, and also keep the, you don't want to twist it in any way, because if you start twisting it, then the cut's gonna come out quicker. So you gotta try your very best to keep it as straight as possible. For this type of cut, I'm actually standing up, looking directly down on it. And kind of doing that same saw type technique where you're going up and down. Come back with this guy. And a lot of times, once you do that, you don't even really need the ruler on that second kind of pass, because you already went deep enough with the X-Acto. Again, this is just experience after doing this many years. So if you're starting, use the ruler for everything. Alright, and we got, you can see it, but both of these have been completely cut. Once again, going to this angle so I can see my guidelines, lining it up with that Sharpie blue that I had already created, and just starting there, a nice light slice. Make sure you don't pass that frame. Another one, and then you can kind of do the whole. Let me see, I don't think I went all this far. That should have right there. All right, so now it should be easy enough to kind of puncture that back. And maybe, let's do it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. But basically, once you puncture that back, it just kind of, once again, just make sure you cut deep enough if you're gonna decide to not use the ruler, because if you don't cut deep enough, then it's not gonna go on that straight line. All right, so it looks like we're good on 3 of the sides, and now we're doing the last and final side of this window. And once again, you're just gonna line up the blue marker. You're going to guide yourself with these 2 lines, and you're just gonna go in. Now, and you can see here the mistake I just did. I went too far here. I know how to fix these, but I always try to avoid these. I can't stand when I do that. Anyway, it should pop out pretty easy, and it does. And I should have some smoothness on the inside, and I do. It looks really good. This will allow me to have the window probably halfway in. Maybe halfway into the frame or whatever. So there you go. So you get the cut of where the window's supposed to be. You now have the framework. And then it becomes a decision in terms of how you want to go. But you know what? Before we do that, let's chop off this door. Let's take this door out, because then I want to show you kind of a technique where when you go on, that I usually do anyway, where I go on the side of the dials. Same thing, keep that X-Acto as straight as possible. Come over here. And I'm gonna go right up to the blue line, because I don't want the door to kind of be loose. I want it to be tight. Even though we're gonna glue that door, it's gonna be permanently in there. I still want it to kind of have a tight fit, so I don't have to try to fix any gaps that might have occurred because it wasn't that tight of a fit. And all right, so now it'll allow me to I'm trying to do it so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me see. Okay, there we go. I'll just go a little higher. You know, that same technique you used with the window, where you're just kind of cutting along the line you just created. Same thing here. All right, now we're gonna come back, excuse me, with the ruler. And we're gonna go just from point to point. Look straight, make sure that X-Acto knife is as straight as possible and not turned to any angle. All right. So now, what we can do is that door should pop right out. And once again, we got a pretty good cut. It's a little rough up top, but in this case, it doesn't matter much because that door is going to be kind of almost flush with the frame. So I don't have to worry about too much rather. And then the door, yes, we got to, well, I may have to trim the door a little bit, but I'd rather trim the door. So now you have an idea of what it's gonna look like in terms of that basic look. So the part I want to show you guys, and I have another 14 minutes or so I'll do this for the next 14 minutes, and then we'll just make it an even hour and go from there. So generally, I like to wrap the dioramas so that this is part of the design. So the first thing we gotta do is, this is the rock that I used before I came on live. I had taken my little trusty rock, did a bunch of that so that you don't have that flat surface. I never did it on the side, but let's do it now. And what you're doing is you're giving it, you don't want, you know, generally bricks and for the most part cement walls are gonna be supremely flat, especially in a setting, in an alleyway or duct type setting. And then what I do is I take my blade, and then the lines here are my guides to kind of take it on the outside of the dial. And again, if you're new, use rulers. I feel comfortable at this point where I don't necessarily need to use rulers for these parts anyway. For the general measurement, you know, windows, doors, I'll always use rulers. But like little things where you know, you're almost guided here, it's almost like it becomes an eye thing, so you have an idea now of that. So a lot of times the kind of challenge of this is how do you do the lines on the outside. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the ruler one more time just so we can measure some bricks on this side, and we're doing 2 centimeters. So I'll go right here, right? So now, because I have that line there, I'm just skipping a row, skipping a row, skipping a row. And then the brick line would be here. You see how I kind of went a little bit there and I cut right into the brick? I can't stand that look. I can't stand that look. It's a little bit of a weird angle because I'm trying to hold it up to the light so you guys can see where I'm cutting. So that contributes to not having it flat where you should anytime you're working on your art. But now, so bricks are usually about this thick, right? So this is how I go about it. So because they're that thick, so I'm imagining if I was to pull out that brick, it would look like a brick that's in scale to 1/12, but it allows me to now kind of do this and just follow that one initial line, and then you have an idea of what the bricks will look like carved onto the side of the dial, where a lot of people don't necessarily kind of go to the side, but I just think it's a good look. I think it's a good look, especially if you want to pan out a little bit with your photography. You don't always have to be tight to the tight to the subject that you're uh, taking pictures of. And now I just need a pencil. And then what we do is same deal. Just gonna go here. And then once I'm done with this side, guys, I'll wrap it up and uh, may go live again today, maybe even. And when I get to the painting part, or tomorrow probably. I probably won't get to the painting today. I mean, I'll probably get to black washing it, but I probably won't get to like the final paint job till tomorrow morning. But the goal is for me to finish this up in 48 hours. That is the goal. So now you can sorry I missed there a little bit, but again you can kind of fix it a bit when you are driving the pencil to separate, and you can still kind of see where I made that mistake there, and I'll try to do something to correct it, but that little mistake right there, and then you just kind of flow to this side. And the reason I think man, I don't know, again, this is to each their own. I just feel it's a good look to wrap around it, because otherwise it would just be painted like black, and I just don't like that look. So to me, that's a pretty cool look, and I like the way that came out. So the next step that I'm gonna do, the next step is creating. Did I say I was doing this? Yeah, I said this. I'm gonna make like a grate door here. There's gonna be like a little dock here. It's gonna be pretty cool. I've never done something exactly like this, so it'll be a pretty unique thing. And then I can again, I'm just gonna create this specifically to sell it on IG as my little fundraiser to grab my breaks. Cause shit, son, sometimes things happen and you don't expect them, and you just kind of flow with it and figure it out. Y'all, thank you very much if you came in and hung out for a little while. I'm sorry that I couldn't answer any other questions. I mean, we do have a few minutes to go. So if you guys have any questions or anything you wanted to ask, now is the time to do it, because I am now looking at the screen. I have my phone in hand. Any questions, comments, I'll leave it up for another 7 minutes. And if you guys have any questions, this is the time. I already carved that. This is carved out. This is next. That is the floor. And this has already been, as you can see by the angle, it's been kind of banged out with that little tiny brick guy. And it gives me the texture that I want. So that's all set. And I'm not sure what colors I'm going to go with in terms of the frame. But, you know, obviously the roll down grates are going to be silver. I do have to work on somehow trying to eliminate that line there. And I think I have an idea. I may go with maybe some hot glue, or maybe some spackling. I'm not sure yet. I'll try both and see what comes up, because what I don't want is, when I paint it, I want it to be as seamless as possible. I want no seams to show through, so I want to make sure that I'm on top of that. Yeah. All right, nobody has questions. It looks like people are fading away, and that's all good. The dials that I'm still working on right now, I can give you guys a quick... Oh, there we go. Just want to say, what's up, Big Al? You know, that's what my hockey coach used to call me. Make a dial, learn a few things, so thank you. Word, no problem. Yeah, my hockey coach used to call me Big Al. Using smaller but stronger rare earth magnets for connection walls. My magnets that I use, I'm very, very happy with. They're ceramic magnets. They're solid. I don't want to experiment with magnets, especially if I'm kind of happy with the magnets that I currently have. For example, we can bring this dial down that I need to finish, that I'm almost done with, but these are magnets I use. 3 3/4 inch, or excuse me, 3 3/4. Oh my god, 3/4 of an inch. And when you put them in, they're strong enough that I could flip it over, and unless I shake it, that's when they'll fall. So it's a pretty strong. It's a pretty strong magnet. I'm pretty comfortable with it. Starter size 5 to work with for I don't know, man. I honestly like the 2x2, 1 inch thick 2x2 foam boards. They're just my preference. But if you're starting, I would say go get a 2x8 board. And the good thing about a 2x8 board is you get 8 feet of insulation foam board for $12. So yeah, I mean, I hear you, Gumby. They're only an inch thick, so it's then that means you'd have to get smaller magnets that are a little more expensive, a little tougher to get. It just kind of changes a lot. I just feel 1 inch thick is not, even if you went half inch, I feel like if you cut too deep, you can damage it on the other side. It won't be as strong. It's already foam. So I don't know. I mean, I hear you, and it's always good to experiment. It's just I can't, in my mind, I just feel like it won't work out if it was a 1 inch, or excuse me, a half inch. Hey, what up, Roberto? So yeah, man, that's the deal. That's where we're at. Uh, let me see. Part of what I wanted to do with this is kind of do like a metal looking dock, but I don't know if I'm gonna go cement or metal yet. I do have an extra piece from this board that I can do either with. So I'll make that decision at some point. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, this one came a little warped, but I figured it out. Yeah, man. So you want to get just ceramic magnets. Don't get anything past that because they can rip out. But you also, I have a tutorial video of how I glue my magnets in, and I kind of do. Let's say this is the hole. I kind of do the rims, the rim of it, and I do the bottom as well. So I guess it just depends. I mean, I do, unless you live like in Arizona or California or really hot weathered town, then sometimes if the dial is in heat, like in the heat, it'll melt it. So that's the only thing about it. We got to be careful about that. Yeah. Yeah. I use there's two types of glue. You can use low temp or high temp. I use low temp because if I mess up, I can just put my fingers right on it. It won't burn me too much. I'm cool with it. High temp, I wouldn't touch. High temp may work better in the heat. Low temp doesn't work as great. A lot of times I try to back stuff up with tacky glue. So even if the low temp glue starts to melt a little bit, there's still some of that tacky glue in there that should keep it together. But yeah, man, if you live in a hot, it's always best to keep these dials in a cool room, if and never in direct sunlight, because forget about it. So it's one of those things where if these are on display, hopefully it's a cool down room and the sun is not directly hitting them. And if you can't display them, most dial makers obviously are shipping these in a box, and then you can just kind of keep them in that box whenever you're not using them, and that will keep them a little cooler if they're in a closet in a dark area, dark corner of the house type of situation. So yeah, man. But a lot of this, I would say it was Bob Diod and AJ Frost who had some great tutorials, and I was able to skip a lot of trial and error. They were the ones that had to deal with that, and you know, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate Bob Diod and AJ. I haven't spoken to AJ in forever. Bob is still around. But Bob and AJ will be the first ones to tell you that everything is trial and error. So even if, like, for example, you feel like you want to try something out, absolutely, you never know. It could become a beautiful thing. And I one time tried putting magnets on these, and before that, people were keeping these together usually by toothpicks. Like, you put a wall here, you stab it into each other was my understanding. And all of a sudden, Magnus came into play, and it changed the game a little bit. So, you know, by experimenting, you can change up the game and make it a little easier and accessible to other future dial makers. So that's always the goal, man. It's just each one teach one type of thing. So I'm up to my hour. Thank you very much for those who hung out with me for the hour. I appreciate it. I will be doing more live videos as I've got some good feedback on them, and I am working on getting back to you guys questions and comments for the last 3 or 4 videos. So I apologize for that. Life has been a little hectic, and yeah, man, I'm just trying to swim out of the deep hole. Thank you, Roberto. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Roberto. Hooked me up with, or not hooked me up, but was able to find, or hooked me up with grabbing the Captain America Walgreens exclusive for me, and he's shipping that off to me tomorrow. I'm excited about getting that figure, so I appreciate it, Roberto. Good looking out. Um, you're welcome, Redskins fan, and I'm sorry you're a Redskins fan. I'm just messing with you, dude. Yeah, man, and I'm gonna sign out, but again, a lot of times I tell people leave comments and questions and I'll get back to you, right? But what I get a lot is some rude ass people like, yo, how do you do this? Not low like, yo, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm human, dude. Like, it's okay to be cordial and nice. And when you're cordial and nice, then I'm more willing to help. But when you just hit me up with, how do you, I don't know, whatever. People just throw questions at me. They don't even say hello. Then for the most part, I'm going to just tell you to watch all the videos and the answers will be there. Come at me correct and I'll talk to you, man. I'm human. Again, I'm not some fucking machine. Like, it's cool for you guys to, I have bad days and good days, and I use the bathroom and brush my teeth and all that shit. So I'm human too. And if you're at your job and people were always kind of shitty to you, and you'd kind of feel some sort of way, so say hello, say what's up, and I'll greet you the same, and we can go from there. But a lot of times people just greet me in a way where I'm like, yo, just watch the videos. There's like 160 of them. Good luck, bro. But nah, man, I'm my yeah, I was with my daughter yesterday. Yeah, I was with my daughter yesterday. And she goes, Dad, the good thing is that I already know you're kind of a dick. And that was beautiful because I can absolutely be a dick, bro. Because life, if sometimes people try to swallow you up if you too soft, be, so you gotta be like whatever. Um, Try paintable caulking for the seam on the door. That may work. Yeah, no, no. I have some. Yeah, that's. I had mentioned that. I said either, some drywall type. I have like some stuff that I use for the gaps of here that I think will work, because I'm able to kind of smooth it out. So that may work. I'm gonna try that. Again, just I don't want to see that seam when I paint it. I'll be heated if I can see that seam. I'm like, fuck you, seam. I may just honestly take the whole foam section out and just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like when I paint it. Let's see. Who knows? And I'm out of here. Peace.